I once had a college professor explain the brilliance of the Jurassic Park movies. The way he saw it, it was not an original concept. The idea of people trying to control nature and having it backfire dramatically is something that you see in literary works going back thousands of years. You could even argue it goes as far back as the Epic of Gilgamesh. But what makes Jurassic Park brilliant is that they take that concept and they put a distinctly modern twist on it. The idea of genetics in particular becoming a means of controlling nature is a very new concept, and putting dinosaurs in just makes it really cool. So basically the movies take a really old concept and they put a really cool sci-fi twist on it, and that's one of the reasons they resonate so well with people. Anyway, we have the new Jurassic World coming out later this week, so I figured it would be a good time to explore some of the OG Jurassic Park games. Now, this is Jurassic Park on the Sega Genesis, and what makes this game brilliant to me is that I would define it as a survival horror game back before survival horror was an established genre. I believe Alone in the Dark came out beforehand by a couple of months, but I could be wrong on that. But it's that early phase where, this notion of games being not only scary, but being tense was still a new concept, so it was a really cool idea. There was also another game that was released on Sega Genesis called Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. And it's a completely different game. I might touch upon it later. But for now, I'm just going to give you some gameplay from the Jurassic Park game itself on Sega Genesis. Give you guys an idea of what early survival horror looked like. Alright, and here we go. Let's play some Jurassic Park on Sega Genesis. Ah, that good old-fashioned Sega. Yes, the T-Rex just say Sega. Gotta say, the intro to this game is actually terrifying. Like, they don't hold anything back. So for starters, there are two different characters you can play as. You can play as either Dr. Grant from the movie or a nameless velociraptor. I'm going to show you guys both. I'm going to show you the first two levels as Dr. Grant and the first level as the velociraptor. So, here we go. For the full survival horror experience, I do recommend playing on the hardest difficulty, but just to show you guys the game, I'm going to play it on the normal difficulty. This intro is really terrifying, actually. Yeah, they held nothing back in that first few seconds of the game. The T-Rex has demolished your car, the electric fences are down, and all the dinosaurs are loose on the island. Make your way through the jungle to the power station. So pretty much the iconic scene in the movie where the T-Rex comes out and wrecks the car is right where you start the game. Good place to start a horror game, because the first 45 minutes of the movie feels a little more Disney than anything. So here's Dr. Grant and all his photoelectric mocap glory. Gotta love the wrecked car, that's a great detail. And here's our first dinosaur. And I just got impaled by him. So if you look, our dino friend is still breathing. If you stick around long enough, they actually get back up and start attacking you again. And I absolutely love that detail because it really raises the tension. You can't actually kill anything in the game. You just gotta keep constantly stunning them and running away while you can. Let's try a different one. Jump this tricky, and there's a Dilophosaur right away. I do like the puppet dinosaurs in this game. They're not the greatest by today's standards, but for their time it was really cool to see digitized characters other than just people. Some of these jumps are kind of tricky. And here, not completely sure what to do, but what you have to do is you have to essentially take a leap of faith. You have to drop down. And then if you don't want to take any damage, you have to jump at a very precise moment. If you land in those spikes down there, if you let yourself fall all the way, you'll land in those spikes. And you immediately take a lot of damage. So there's different weapons you can collect. They're all non-lethal. There are some actual grenades you get later in the game, but they still won't kill much. Like the tiny little green dinos you see moseying around, it'll stop them, but other than that, it's just gonna stun things. I love this opening level. You really get the vibe that you're trying to climb out of a dangerous jungle canopy. And here you're gonna climb across these here vines, or you can just drop down if you want to. Fortunately, there's not really a consequence, because honestly, the climbing in this game is a little wonky. But in my opinion, I like it that way. It feels very organic. It feels like an actual person trying to climb these vines. Which again, it just adds to the tension. Now here, once again, you kind of have to take a leap of faith. You kind of have to let yourself fall. Why do we fall, Bruce? So we learn to get back up. And then if you try jumping up here, you're just going to get knocked back down. So you have to fall again. And here, you actually have to do a very precise jump to get here. I just took a hit. And then you have to fall down again. So you really get the vibe that you're trying to climb out of a really dangerous jungle canopy. It almost reminds me of Lesser the Unlikely, but a bit more refined, if that makes any sense. See again, even the little baby dino, if you look, he's still breathing. He'll get up in a few minutes and attack you again. Now that's a falling rock. I know it doesn't really look like it, but if you let it hit you, it kills you instantly, so you gotta be careful with that. Then if you drop down right here, you get some extra darts. So the red darts do more damage. They'll one-hit stun most enemies. You gotta love them spitting the venom too. As our friend Dennis learned, it's not very pleasant to get hit by that stuff. Man, I actually just watched the first Jurassic Park with my friends a few weeks ago. I was impressed by how well the special effects hold up. It really was some groundbreaking special effects work. Serious kudos to them. I believe it was Stan Winston that worked on that, but I could be wrong. Either way, serious props to those guys. Now another leap of faith, landing on this dino's head. And here's the exit to the first level, going into the power plant. Man, wasn't that a great scene in the movie? Samuel L. Jackson's arm falls on what's-her-face's shoulder. That was such a fantastic jump scare. So, the island's main power is offline, and velociraptors have taken over the power station. Yeah, just like in the movie. So, here we are on the power station. Now, first time playing this, I was probably 7 or 8. And it took me a long time to realize that you can actually climb this ladder. So I was stuck here for longer than I'd like to admit. 7-year-old me hangs his head in shame. And here's our first glimpse of a raptor. Even the raptors, you can't really kill them. I think the death animation is kind of goofy. It looks like a little raptor pedal with a twitching leg. It's kind of a funny detail, but it's just a really goofy, kind of wonky death animation. Now, in case you haven't noticed, the frame rate isn't the most consistent. It does fluctuate quite a bit. But to me, once again, kind of raises the tension because it sort of distorts reality a little bit and just adds to the sense of tension. Gotta love the climbing animations. You know, all things considered, they did do a very good job with the digitized actors. Like, this is very early mocap. This was 94, if I remember right, so Mortal Kombat was still very new. So now this part's kind of tricky, because if you killed this Dilophosaur a little too soon, it's going to get up and start shooting at you. Spitting, I should say, not MF spitting. Climbing across. Now, it took me a long time to figure this part out. You actually have to take this crate, nudge it into this lift, and take it down with you to advance to the next area. It's probably the first game I remember playing where you can hop down platforms by pressing down and C. It's kind of funny because it's one of those things you take for granted, but you didn't see a heck of a lot of that in early platformers like this. Up the ladder, up the ladder. Oop, I got zapped. Up. Sometimes you gotta climb down to avoid the lightning, because that's exactly how electricity works. If you're standing in the right spot, it won't actually zap you. That's how electricity works, right? Totally, yeah. I'm sure that's how it worked in the movie, too, when, what's his name, the kid got zapped. Okay, I made it this time. Drained most of my health, but I made it. That part used to be the bane of my existence as a kid. Like, I would always lose most of my health, and even now as an adult. Oop, hey, buddy. Minor complaint I have now as an adult, it's a little inconsistent knowing what you can and can't climb on. I played this game enough to have more or less memorized most of the platforming sections, but as a kid it was very tedious trying to figure out where you can and can't go. Alright, sneaking through the ventilation ducts. That definitely brings me back to the movie. Well, there's a whole part of that, only there's raptors jumping up from below. It's actually a really terrifying scene, too. Again, if you want the full experience, like you want maximum tension, I highly recommend playing this on the hard difficulty. But for the purpose of showing the gameplay and giving you some ideas, playing it on normal will suffice. See, some dinosaurs, there's the whole getting fried animation, and I'm probably dead. No, maybe not. Probably got spooked by the lightning. So now we're coming into one of my favorite sequences in the game, and you'll soon see why. It was odd, my shots weren't going through the lift door for some reason. Ah, well. So now here you get some actual real grenades, but unfortunately they don't kill anything. Everything else you have is like gas grenades or flashbangs. And if you've read the book, that actually bodes well, because in the book they don't have a lot of actual lethal weapons, I should say. Most of what they have is, most of what they have are gas grenades and like darts and stuff like that. That's not to say there aren't any shotguns or rocket launchers, but yeah, I digress. Good book, though. If ever you get the chance, I do highly recommend it. So now, something I do appreciate about this game is that's probably the first game I ever played with actual, what I would interpret as scripted moments. It's the kind of thing we take for granted nowadays, but in the early 90s, this was a really cool thing. So you see that cracked wall over there? What happens when I get a little closer? Whoa! Big T-Rex. Beautiful, majestic predator. And right here, turn the power back on, because apparently all the electricity, it wasn't actually on, but I digress. So how do you get around her? If you get too close, she will want to kill you. I'm not going to demonstrate that, because I'm doing too well right now. What you do is you have to use specifically a grenade. I'm not sure if the taser weapon works or not, because I've never tried it. I've always been afraid of getting eaten. But yeah. And if you wait long enough, the effects wear off and she will attack again. If I try going up there now, she'll probably one-hit kill me. I feel like if I jump at the right moment, it might glitch and kill me. Nope. What a beautiful, majestic predator, though. Long live the king. Or the queen, I should say. I'll play a little bit of the next level. This is a bit of a meme at this point, this river level. This takes direct inspiration from the book, not the movie, but you're literally on a river raft and you have to navigate these rapids. It's a really cool idea. It's very challenging though. There's a lot of guesswork involved, so a first-time player, even an experienced player, it's easy to get turned around. And I will show you why in just a second here. Hop back into my little boat. I really appreciate that they took inspiration from not only the movie, but the book, because the book just doesn't get enough credit. It's so widely overshadowed by the movie. Not that it's a bad movie, but I wish the book got more credit, because the book is every bit as memorable. So here, you actually have to choose which waterfall you're going to go down. There's usually 3 you can choose from. Now, by the time I'm off screen, I'll probably be alive again. Now, this part is actually very difficult, because it comes down to precision timing more than anything else. Oh, also, you have to grab these gas cans to keep fueling up. If you completely run out of gas, you're dead in the water, and that's usually game over. And then you have to throw a grenade right away before she tries to bite you. And then run fast as you can. Now, here you pretty much have to let it take it, because if you try to move too quickly, you will fall off and die. Let's see how far I can get, actually. I'm kind of curious. I'm surprised I got this far without dying. I'm also playing on normal, so a lot of the mistakes I made would have been fatal on hard, just to give a perspective on the tension. See, I'm almost out of gas in this one, but I also have to abandon it relatively soon, if I remember right. Gotta love the scream animation. So you can see there's a little more resistance. That means I'm running out of gas. Wow, I just got really lucky. Mr. Rector almost just went on my face. Gotta love the dinosaur death sounds too. Alright, you got up quickly. Alright, I don't remember which one. I'm pretty sure it's this one that you have to hop down, but we'll soon see. Nope. And that's death right there. All the way back to the beginning. Anyway, I think you guys have a pretty good grasp on what it's like to play as Dr. Grant, so I will reset the game. Sega. And I'll play a level as the Velociraptor. Now, going from Grant to the Velociraptor, it's a completely different game. You go from feeling very powerless to feeling almost like a god. Watch this little cutscene. Not as memorable as the other one, but really terrifying in its own right. You have broken out of the raptor cage. You are free to roam the island. Picked up the scent of Dr. Grant. As you stalk him through the jungle, be aware of armed guards. The closest thing I could compare this to is probably if you've ever played Ultimate Spider-Man on the PS2 and the GameCube. Playing as Venom, where you're basically an unstoppable force. Within reason, of course. You know, you can only take so many hits, of course. So you got lots of armed guards. I didn't realize there were that many crewmen there, but I suppose it's a big park. Pretty much anything that stands in your way you can kill with 1 or 2 hits. The only enemy I can think of that takes more than 1 hit to kill is the Triceratops, which stands to reason. It's a large herbivore with some serious defense. So if you double tap, you can run. Got some serious jumping capabilities. And all you gotta do is touch some of the enemies and they die. It's very exhilarating and honestly very satisfying. Just absolutely annihilate these critters. And just like that, through the first level. You know what the heck, let's play one more level. It's actually a really fun game once you get into it, if you can get over the lousy frame rate. Speaking of which. Very memorable game. The sheer height you can jump is just ridiculous, but again, going back to Ultimate Spider-Man, you can jump like half the height of the Empire State Building. That's a cool animation too right there, where you can push the crate with your head. It almost seems like something the Raptors would do in the movie. Then these little tiny dinosaurs you can eat. You just chew on them real quick, and that gives you a little health boost. It's kind of funny to me. You know, if these guys had actual weapons, they could, you know, if you remember from the movie, shoot her! You must die. How dare you, Zack? I am queen of the jungle now. And there are so many great one-liners in this movie. Like, if nothing else, this movie will always be remembered for some of the fantastic Jeff Goldblum quotes. A life finds a way. I can't imagine getting bitten by one of these critters. That would hurt so bad. Just the sheer amount of trauma these bites would cause is just horrifying. How dare you shoot a rocket at me? You just signed your own death warrant, human. And there's the doctor. Oh! Almost had him. And with that, I think I will call it. And yeah, there's not much else I really have to say. It's a very memorable game. And again, just thinking about the timeline there, the first Resident Evil wouldn't come out for a few more years. And I believe Alone in the Dark had only just been released a few years prior. So this is, in my opinion, one of the very first proto-survival horror games. You know, there's an emphasis on trying to escape over fighting your way out. There's an emphasis on sneaking around. There's an emphasis on resource management. All things that you would see sort of convalesce in Resident Evil that would become the survival horror genre. So it's really cool to play a game predating that takes those ideas and uses them to great effect. The graphics are very gritty, and the music definitely adds to the tension. It's a very stressful game to play by design, in my opinion, and to me, that is the hallmark of a truly great survival horror game. I'm thinking next week I'm going to cover the other game, the Jurassic Park Rampage Edition, which is a completely different animal. It's a completely different lizard, so to speak, no pun intended. But anyway, for now, I will sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a lifelong favorite of mine. I've been playing it since I was, I think, 7, and even now playing it as an adult, I absolutely love it. And given just how unique it is, I wish it got more attention than it did. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like, subscribe, comment, however you guys see fit. Thank you very much.